Welcome to a lovely rainy Tuesday afternoon. Today we have a little project that involves my 2021 F3 I'm sitting in. And 2021, man, that seems like a long time ago. Anyways, I was out at the storage facility where I have the bus. It's been raining around here profusely, and as it turns out, there's this concept of liquefaction, and that can affect sand or gravel parking lots or things like that. Anyways, I went out there and I wound up getting completely buried up to the frame in this chair in the gravel. Well, this is fun. I'm out here at the storage lot where the bus is at, and my chair got a little bit buried. I thought maybe if I flopped onto the ground, I could, kind of lift it out or something. But yeah, it's done good and buried. I called some help, got myself unstuck. That's all good. However, this chair needs to be cleaned badly, and we're getting some additional noises. Now, granted, the motors on this chair are still bad. I've started the process, I think, of getting my insurance or my doctor to tell my insurance to tell the DME to fix it or something. I don't know. As you can see though, things are a little bit slimy and nasty. So what we're gonna do is jack this thing up, pull the wheels off, inspect a few things. I think there's gravel in places that it shouldn't be, and just kind of do an overall inspection of the drive motors and basically get everything cleaned up. Then we're finally gonna open some packages from the gift list, but then also some new things have arrived that are really cool. USB-C power delivery and power trigger boards are something that may not make sense to you, and you don't know that you need them, but you do. So we'll get into that a little bit later, and I'll show you some use cases for that and some really cool products from overseas that are insignificantly priced and just awesome. I had to run over to the grocery store earlier, and I took the Bounder over there. It's completely filthy from the trail run the other day. I still haven't cleaned it. And then also it was pouring rain. I've got some fenders on the way for this chair, so that'll make it a lot more usable in the rain. I kind of forgot to order those when I got the chair also. But once again, I'm telling you, compressor-based dehumidifier, especially if you're in a little apartment or something like this, works great. You come in from the rain, you're leaving water all over the floor, that thing will magically dry the air and the floor and everything in like 15 minutes. I'm gonna get all my stuff together, hop onto the floor, get some lighting this time so we can actually see what's going on, and then we'll go from there. Welcome back to the floor. We've actually got some light here this time so we can see what's going on. But as you can probably notice, this thing's a little bit dirty. I got buried in the gravel up to the frame. A bunch of rocks and stuff got up in here and on the bottom and all that stuff. So we are gonna take this wheel off, see what's going on in here, and then kind of go from there. Basically just kind of clean this thing up. And again, these motors do need replacing, but for now, I want to look at the shafts and whatnot, because I've been getting some extra squealing noises that I don't normally get. All right, what secrets lie inside? Ooh, gross. Yeah, you can see lots of nastiness, bunch of gravel down in here, and then our hub has a bunch of dirt on it, so I want to get back in there and make sure that seal is cleaned out. Looks like there's some hair and whatnot. Now, my favorite thing to use for cleaning stuff like this are Pampers Sensitive baby wipes. They don't have any scent or dyes or any sort of weird lotions or anything in there, so they work pretty good for this type of task. I'll just start by wiping this all down. Oh yeah, there's bits of gravel and dirt everywhere in here. At one point when I was trying to get loose, I did that thing where I kind of rock my weight back and forth and try to hit the throttle. But at some point the controller was like, what are you doing? And it started cutting down on the amount of power going to the motors. Yeah, we got scratches on here from the rocks. And that's when I got stuck. Yeah, this is all completely scratched. The gravel lot where the bus is at is all this fairly large gravel. Typically with a parking lot like that, you want to use 3/4 minus, which is 3/4 inch gravel and then down. So the size is a maximum, but then there's a bunch of other stuff that's smaller as well, and that allows it to compact. But when they put that section together, oh man. But when they put that section together, they didn't use that, so water gets in there and it just turns into a soupy mess. But luckily, we have Utility Chair 2.0. I went and picked that up yesterday. Yeah, look at this. Utility Chair 2.0 should be able to handle that fine. I've got the Michelin tires on there, and actually need to go out there again in the next day or two. So we'll be able to test that out. And it's still raining here. We're finally back into our solid rainy season. But we'll be able to test that, and I think it should be fine. I'm gonna kind of lightly run this behind. Oh yeah, you can see all the garbage that's down in here where motor shaft seal is. I should have grabbed some tweezers. There is some hair down in here. Long hair will always make its way down in here. And I've had a few people reach out recently and over the years also saying they're getting leaks coming from their gearbox right here. But a lot of times that's as simple as getting in here and cleaning stuff out. If you're at like a birthday party and they have those streamers or confetti, that can get in here, hair and other dirt, and it can kind of compromise the seal. It won't necessarily always damage it, but it'll allow a pathway for the gear oil in there to leak out. And if you pull all that out of there, then you're usually fine. Oh wait, I have my hook and pick set. I don't think that camera has enough detail to be able to see this, but yeah, there's definitely some long hair down in here. And it's best to just kind of unwind it. All right, cool. That's actually isn't bad. Got most of it out of there. Got all this cleaned up. This is where having a wheelchair lift that I've converted to work on stuff indoors would be handy, because I could actually get this thing up off the ground and get to the bottom. But I'm gonna move around here and see if I can just kind of reach underneath and see. That's not too bad under there. I can tell though it is pretty scuffed and scratched. That's just how it feels. And also you can see here this motor. That's from the other day. All the gravel getting stuck behind the wheels. That is a thing with these aggressive tread tires. They will pinch the gravel and carry it up and over and around your fenders and stuff. And these things give you the best chance of actually running around in gravel, but like anything, there's a certain point you reach of diminishing returns and fly zapper, and nothing will get you through it. But like I said, these are way better than the Primo Power Tracks that come stock on most chairs. Ew. Honestly, taking these over to the shower and hosing them off might have been an easier option, just to get a lot of the big chunks off of here. All right, I think that should be good enough for now. I could clean up this tread a bit, but I know I'm just gonna go outside and it's constantly raining here and it's just gonna get filthy again. There's no major chunks in there, so we'll just call that good. Oh, I should have grabbed my new vacuum cleaner and brought it over here. Been handy to pick all this up. I'm gonna hop on the bounder real quick and go grab the vacuum. Same person that gave me that kitchen table over there also gave me this old school Oric vacuum. It's a bag style one, but it's got filters on filters and none of the dust blows out of it when you use it, which is super nice. Let's check out our back casters while we're in here. This pivot point here likes to collect a lot of dirt. Yep. All right, cool. I'll clean the rest of that later. For now, I think this side can be put back together. We'll flip this around and check the other side. Again, my main concern here was just making sure there wasn't too much garbage inside, like behind the hub and where the motor shaft seal and all that stuff are. And It looks all right. You know, I forget how many miles are on this chair. I'll put it on the screen here. But for that many miles, our play is actually not too bad. And most of that, I believe, is in the brake mechanism. my original forefront was so much worse than that when it was brand new. All right, let's flip this hoopty around and check out the other side. Oh, what fresh hell is this? we have a couple of stowaways. So this is the size of the gravel that we were dealing with. It's all this size. It doesn't have any smaller fill. Yeah, that'll, good times. And we still got bunch of leaking going on here. Actually, I think my old C500 shocks might be starting to let out the shmoo. Although we do know the motors are leaking on this chair as well, but the fact that it's coming out up here and then I can see a bunch of dirt around the top there, it's definitely what we'd call an indicator. May not hurt to order up a new set of those things. Actually, maybe this would be a good excuse to test out some aftermarket stuff. Because this is a fairly standard shock size that's used on a lot of like Chinese import children's ATVs or quads. And I've kind of wanted for a while to buy a few different ones, test them all out, and see which ones will work. And there's also like brand name options available as well, but it'd be cool to be able to say, hey, instead of attempting to find C500 shocks, just go buy this brand in this size, and the valving and spring rate obviously matters as well because of the weight of the chair and whatnot. Fly zapper again. I think there's a bunch of spiders. I think spiders have moved into that thing, and there's entire generations being born and then immediately zapped in there. Because I certainly don't see any flies buzzing around in here, and that thing is constantly going off. There it goes again. All right, let's see what's down in here. Actually, I'm not really seeing any hair. This side's not nearly as bad as the other one. And it was the other side that I heard making a bunch of noise. All right, cool. This is one of those things where I just like to inspect stuff. Obviously I have, backup chairs and all that, but I rely on this thing to function. And anytime I hear a non-permobil typical noise, I like to dig in and see what's going on. We already know the motors are bad and leaking, and this thing is having trouble tracking straight at this point, so these motors, at least one of them for sure, it's definitely on its last legs. And I only use this chair really inside the apartment. I use the bounder whenever I go anywhere else. So let's see if we can make this last as long as possible. I'm pretty sure at this point, being the end of the year and all that, it's gonna be a while before I can get my DME to do any repairs on this. Usually end of the year, everyone's concerned about, basically getting stuff for free because they've met their out-of-pocket maximums, and that resets on December 1. So this time of year, for the mobility industry, repair specifically, actually any medical equipment, is super busy because everyone's rushing and trying to get everything delivered by January 31st, or however many days there are in January, but the last day of the year. So it's free and they don't have any more co-pays. Ew. I will admit though, not living in a gravel parking lot anymore, it is significantly easier to keep this chair clean. I only have to wipe this thing down maybe once every few weeks now, if even that. Before, all the dust and everything, and well, another thing was loading bags of pellets into the pellet stove, would get this thing so dusty and dirty. I'd have to, I mean, if I wanted, I could clean the chair every day, but something about living indoors is kind of nice. While we're down here screwing around, I'm gonna just clean off the rest of this chair. Also, I like to always say, when you're moving these chairs around, do not put your hand right here. This caster wheel will come around, and this is a very dangerous pinch point. So when you see me doing this, I just have my fingers here or on the outside, because yeah, you can definitely lose a finger or very badly damage it if you're not careful. Yeah. See, there's almost no dust on this. Even though we accidentally went mud bogging in a gravel pit, it's still pretty clean. There's something to be said for living in a building. I know I keep saying that, but come on. I was in that bus for 3 years. I think I should easily get another year of saying how awesome it is to be indoors before it starts getting annoying. Oh, I forgot. I still have my flip phone back here. I stopped using this because I realized I was paying $80 a month for the service on that. That's a bit insane. I'm probably gonna get one of the like an eSIM or really cheap pay-as-you-go SIM that's like a couple dollars a month for that. It is nice using this instead of a smartphone. For some reason, smartphones are like not good at calling people, but this thing, it's a phone, and the call quality is good. It gets good signal, and it just kind of lives here on the back of my chair. While we're back here, we might as well check inside our caster caps. Oh, yeah. Still looks nice and clean in there. It's White Raven Mobility's replacement aftermarket caps. You can get in any color you want. Link in the description for that. This new revision that he made has not fallen out on me once yet. And you saw how I was stuck in that gravel and everything else I was doing, but yeah, quality product right there. Oh, and they're cheap. Well, I do believe we are done inspecting and cleaning this. Let's see if we can reach the joystick here. Turn this brake back on. Spin this thing around. Let's see if we can reach the other brake. There we go. Tilt it forward a little bit. We'll transfer back in here and then move on to whatever's next in this video. I do believe it's morning and it is time to make some coffee. Only problem is my cold brew rig over here. I did not load this up, and this thing takes overnight to make some cold brew. It's made by OXO, which apparently is pronounced OXO, but really cool setup, been using it for years. However, a new product has entered the chat. Oh, also, something I haven't owned in 15 years. Look, I have a kitchen table. Obviously it's a little bit low to the ground. I'm gonna have to space that up a little bit, but in my never-ending quest to find as many flat surfaces as possible, we now have one of these. So yeah, someone gave this to me very graciously. I'm gonna tilt my chair down here a little bit, see if we can kind of get my knees under it. Yeah, that works. But OXO has a new product, which I just discovered. I think this was $32 or $34. It's a rapid cold brew rig. Now, typically when I see these things that claim, oh yeah, you can have cold brew in under 5 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not the same, whatever. But this thing is kind of cool. You put the coffee in, you tamp it down. If you use a really finely ground coffee, which apparently you can get the McDonald's coffees in the, was this 30 ounce 1 pound, 14 ounces. What's that, 1.5 pounds? Apparently you can get it in the 1.5 pound cans. Ice maker. But this thing apparently works and it makes sense. It has a little air pump in it. This is one of the few things where the way people worded their reviews on Amazon makes me believe it might actually be good. Man, this thing's tiny. Look at this. Now this is actually cool. If I was still playing soccer and traveling, I would take this with me to make my own cold brew. But the whole thing, nice and compact, and all the parts are stored inside of it. Yeah, look at this. That's cool. All right, let me look through the manual here real quick. And there's some very specific steps. So give me just a minute here. All right, let's see if we can fumble through this together. What's this? Okay, good, that's plastic. That's the other thing with that one is it has the glass carafe. Kind of surprised I haven't broken it yet. This unscrews. Okay, then this unscrews. I think this is our water container. You can see there's a bunch of little tiny holes down in there. And this is our pump. Oh, sure enough, it's literally just sort of an air compressor. Nice. This is where you put the coffee. Oh, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. This is very, very fine holes on this plate. See? Light just barely comes through it. Nice. Yeah, and obviously I will link this in the description down below. Amazon associate link, of course. Doesn't cost you anything extra, but I make a small percentage on the transaction. Yeah, I have to say that. So this is kind of cool. So let's get our glorious 1 pound of McDonald's coffee over here. There's supposedly a fill line inside here. Yep, there it is. One for hot and one for cold. This is fairly finely ground, but the Seattle's Best Portside Blend, oh, some of it's kind of fallen through, but the Seattle's Best Portside Blend that I typically use is a lot finer than this. This tamper here is going to be one of the keys to making this work properly. All right, I think we will call that good. Then we screw the water tank on here. Is there an O-ring or something in here? Oh yeah, there's O-rings up inside there. And I think we set it on top of this. Yeah, there's a little notch there, so it sets on there. Then we're gonna grab our water and fill it to the fill line there. Some water, which I have prepared earlier. Now, obviously, pouring this in here, it's gonna drain straight down into those grinds. So, got that up to the fill line. At this point in the directions, they say if you're making hot coffee, you need to wait 3 minutes, and if you're making cold coffee, you need to wait 5 minutes. Oh, it's actually already starting to drip through. Huh. I mean, I guess that makes sense. There's nothing really holding it in there. So did I screw this up somehow? It seems like it shouldn't be dripping through yet. Huh. Now it says here, note, some coffee concentrate may drip into the carafe while you wait. I think it's all dripped in there. Huh. All right, I think our problem here, this coffee is not finely ground enough. I tamped it down again and it's a little bit better, but if you see here, as we press down on the pump, it kind of does its thing. But the resulting coffee, by the way, I'm holding this with my fingers to keep it from falling, but the resulting coffee is not super strong. So I may go to the grocery store real quick and grab some actually finely ground coffee. Or do I have a coffee grinder? I'll just go buy some and then we'll try this again. For right now, what this is giving us is, I mean, kind of dark, but not really. I'll be back. Oh, if we look at the troubleshooting here, water chamber empties before it's time to pump. Grind size 2 coarse. Use finer grind. Okay, well, yeah, we'll go get some coffee that's more finely ground. One very rainy trip to the grocery hatch later, we have some coffee. I didn't realize that they don't really tell you what the grind is. I just happen to remember when I've used this, thinking, this is really finely ground. So let's try this again with some potentially properly watertight coffee. Need my spoon. My spoon is too big. Okay, now that I think we understand how this works, we can just go ahead and put it all together. So, coffee. I mean, that seems like it's a little more structurally sound. Oh, an interesting note, there is a little mark on the side of this to tell you how tight to screw this together so you don't damage the seals or whatever. There's a little tick mark here. Probably won't be able to see it, but you turn that till those marks line up and then that's good. Hey, that's better. Look, it's actually staying in there. Nice. Okay, let's set a timer. Set a timer for 5 minutes, please. This is strange. I almost never, usually when I open one of these, I dump the entire thing into the cold brewer. So it's a little bit weird to have coffee left over after using it. Okay, we are getting some of it dripping through there, but from my understanding, that's normal. So, okay, well, it's only been 2 minutes, but it looks like most of this has already kind of come through. So we're just gonna go ahead and work the pump on this thing. And even though we didn't wait super long, like that's still pretty dark. I think I might run it through a second time. I'm not completely opposed to doing a multi-step process with this thing. That's kind of what I imagine with most of these anyhow. Like you have the electric cold brewers and they like cycle water for 15 minutes or something maybe, but like, let's retamp it now that the grounds are wet. Then we'll see how fast we can do this. Okay. I just realized though, when I pour the water into that, it kind of goes down through and disrupts the tightly tamped coffee. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. I don't know. What's our timer at? Still got 90 seconds left. It is dripping less though. We will figure this thing out. Maybe I just need to be more careful when I pour the liquid into there. Or we could just run it multiple times, right? I mean, sure, let's just, okay, that's significantly darker. Okay, I think we just run this 3 times and I'm a little bit more careful about how I pour the water in. We should be good. I'm gonna kind of slowly pour it down the side here, just to not disturb our grinds. Looky there. Our timer has expired. By the way, that one coin that I shall not name is up to 106,517 per coin right now. Anytime I say the word of that particular digital like currency, I get hundreds and hundreds of bot comments. The way the YouTube API works with the transcripts and all that is the bots are able to scan through those now. So when that happens, I start getting all these like scam comments and stuff in the videos. But hey, look, it's actually pretty sealed this time. I think I like this thing. I've waited about 1.5 more minutes, so let's Oh yeah, it takes a lot more resistance now. Yeah, so I think a combination of maybe pre-wetting the grinds a little bit, making sure they're tamped really well, and then also when you pour the water in, make sure it's not flowing through there and ruining your structural integrity of your grinds, if I may use that word again. I kind of like the whole air pressure powered extraction concept here though. All right, cool. Sanity check. This might be proper cold brew. Let's see how dark it is. Bright light, by the way. And yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's not like pitch black like normal, but I think this might be okay. Let's make some coffee with it. And it does not appear, yeah, this finely ground stuff doesn't have the fine bit of sediment in the bottom either. Interesting. All right, so this is going to be a lot weaker than I typically make coffee. But hey, in a pinch when we're trying to just get coffee and there's a number of steps involved, but I don't have to wait overnight, I think that's fine. Usually, however, I do dilute it with a bunch of water. I don't know. Yeah, we'll put a little bit of water in here. This isn't going to be anywhere near as strong as my typical cold brew, but once again, when all I want is coffee, I think this should be fine. Yeah, that's pretty light colored. I think making a 24-ounce cup of it with that amount of concentrate, it's asking a little bit much. Okay, moment of truth. I'm not concerned with the strength, just the flavor. That's not bad. This would definitely work as a travel cold brew rig for sure, or one that I keep in the drawer in case I forget to make coffee. Oh, that's actually really good. There might be something to this pressurized brewing, although isn't that how espresso works? Stop telling me things, camera. There we go. Yeah, that's actually super good. All right, well, there you go. It's the new OXO Rapid Brewer, link below. I've been playing around a little bit more with this, and what I did was slightly pre-wet the grinds, then tamp them, then put them in. And it's significantly darker on the first run. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a combination of just tamping it properly, really finely ground coffee, and then running it through a few times, and yeah. Next up, we are going to be looking at a few things from the gift list. Now, this section, I kind of go into depth about USB-C power delivery and all that. I think these are really cool products, and I want to illustrate a lot of the neat features of them, and also maybe some drawbacks and things you need to be aware of. There's a lot of other stuff from the gift list that I filmed the footage of, and we'll kind of sprinkle that in here and there maybe later, but I want to focus on this. I think it's extremely cool. So we got these things on the gift list, right? They are, well, basically little DC barrel jacks of various sizes, and they have a USB-C input on them. So you know how normally when you're trying to power a project, you'll hunt around and try to find some sort of plug pack or something that has the right voltage you want. And then you gotta like hook it up to the wall and run cables, and it's a whole crazy thing, right? So instead, now we have these things. They're DC barrel jacks of a bunch of different sizes, and they have a USB-C port on them. Now these are labeled 5 volts each, and just off camera, I've got a sort of a big power supply thing with a USB-C cable coming out. And in theory, if we plug this in, we should get 5 volts out of this little thing. Should be powered up. We'll assume center positive. And boom, there we go. We have 5 volts. So let's unplug this and plug it back in. So it negotiates up to 9 volts for a split second and then goes back down to 5. So interesting note. Let's try that with a battery bank here. And that's the other thing too, is you can power your projects with battery banks. Yeah, so it looks like this particular one goes up to 9 volts and then back down to 5, which I mean, you really should plug this in before it negotiates power delivery anyways. Okay, so we got all the 5-volt ones here. Let's go ahead and check out the 12-volt ones. Okay, let's try it again here. This should be 12 volts. And it says 9. Now, 12 volts is one thing with USB-C power delivery that is a little bit tricky. There's far fewer devices that support the 12-volt mode, so you have to make sure that the power supply you're using, in fact, supports it. Let me grab another battery real quick that I'm pretty sure supports the 12-volt mode. Normally on the back of any plug pack or power device, it's going to give you a bunch of text to tell you the different modes it'll support. Yeah, so you can see here, it's got specifically the 5-volt, the 9-volt, and the 12-volt. So there's a little tiny print on the back of most of your batteries and other plug packs that are going to tell you all the modes they support. It also depends on the cable you're using as well. That is the one thing with USB-C. Once you find a battery bank or a plug pack that is going to work for you, hang on to it and label it. So let's try this again here with this battery bank. Hey, there we go, 12-volt mode. So that means you can run your projects and your accessories off of a, like regular cell phone wall charger, or you can use these portable battery banks. Now, obviously, you're going to be limited by the amount of power that this thing can output, but this one, I think, would support at least a couple of amps, maybe. And I will put a link to these power banks down below. These are actually one of my favorite ones that exist. But you can get these things in 5, 9, 12, I think 24 volt as well, which is an actual power delivery protocol. I mean, I've said power delivery a couple of times, which isn't actually necessarily accurate. Cool thing with these is they have a label right on them that say what their voltage is. You can see right there. Yeah. But anyways, here you go. These are cool little products, and as long as you've got a 5-volt device where a brief 9-volt spike isn't going to hurt anything, should be fine. I'm assuming under load it may be a little different, but generally speaking, very handy little things. Moving on down the list here, we have a couple of other things as well. While these other ones are more for plugging into products that already exist, these are a little bit more of a DIY or building a project sort of device. These are very tiny. I'm gonna have to find the documentation on Amazon, but basically we have a few switches here. Maybe there's labels. Yeah, some of these have screen printing on them that tells you what the switches do, but these ones do not. Same sort of thing though. You set your switches for what you want the output voltage to be. Then you've got some screw terminals here. And I have no idea what voltage this thing is set to. So we'll just plug this in and see what we get. And apparently set to 5 volts. I don't know if you can flip the switches while it's running, but let's turn this one on and see what happens here. And now we're at 15 volts. We'll flip one more switch randomly. I have no idea if I'm doing these correctly or in a valid configuration, but I'm just showing you that you can get different voltage outputs by doing this. And there's 9 volts. There's a little light on the back of it that comes on as well. So these are significantly smaller than I thought they were on the Amazon listing, but that's cool. So any of your projects you're building, you can run them with USB-C. And these were like, I mean, this is what, a 5-pack. I think these were less than 10 bucks, and that's on Amazon. If you get them from eBay or AliExpress or something like that, you can get these things down to like probably 50 cents or less each. But anyways, we got one more thing to look at here. We have another power delivery trigger board here. Now these ones are actually labeled. It looks like, oh dude, those dip switches are tiny and they're under some Kapton tape. But these ones actually have a grid that tells you all the modes they support. So you can get up to 20 volts. Actually, I'm curious to try 20 volts. It looks like off, on, on. Oh, look how small those are.
Let's see if we can use our meter probe here. I can't even see this with my own eyes. I'm looking at the screen to do this. Let's see if there's, I'm assuming this is tape. Actually here, we'll just poke through the tape. So off, on. That should be 20 volt mode. Safety is a thing. Now I don't know if this little power supply over here has the 20 volt mode, so let's see what happens. Sure enough, it does. And it surged up to 28. Interesting. And we've got a little light on there. So people have been telling me for years that USB-C is cool. How neat is this? I'm going to unplug it over here first. So interesting note that, oh, is that? I thought maybe it was getting hot, but that's just me. Interesting note that during the negotiation process, you may get a brief spike of voltage. Kind of interesting. I wonder if this one, hang on, let me test this one real quick and see if the negotiation happens before you put the load on. So we have the light is very dim. Let's connect this up and see if our voltage spikes. It does. Now, I wonder if that's an artifact of the meter or what's going on exactly, but interesting note. I'm sure someone in the comments will know about that. Please feel free to fill me in on that. Yeah, cool little devices. Really cheap too. And while we're screwing around here at the bench and already have the cameras and everything set up, I guess we'll take a look at the last few things that arrived on the gift list. There's some more stuff that was delivered today. I haven't been out there to pick it up yet. A few other things, just ancillary, full-size SD card for the cameras, a few flash drives. I've already used a few of these to make some projects happen. Then also, we used on the stream last week, this 20-foot active USB-C cable. This is hooked up to a camera right now. That's been super handy. Then we have another one of these newer, sort of like these Ulanzi clamps, which actually, these are now my favorite. These things are cool. I've been using them for a while, but these ones have a few extra features. They're a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit more beefy. And this section right here is a little bit longer. The one thing that I'm really excited to try, which I can't right now because I don't have my DeWalt tools here, this is a old school DeWalt battery retrofit kit for the old DeWalt batteries. Now, originally I was looking at lithium conversions, and there's no like legitimate brand name for these kits. So I was a little bit worried about the lithium, and these are the DeWalt batteries I'm talking about. You probably recognize these if you've used power tools back in the early 2000s. But the original ones were NiCads. And obviously now they're a number of years old, well, 20 something years old, and they've kind of worn out. These are NiMH, or nickel metal hydride. Anyways, these are a slight upgrade to the technology without jumping to lithium. So I figured this is a fairly safe alternative maybe, but we've got 2 batteries in here and a charger. 1 hour battery system. Very cheap feeling import stuff. However, you really shouldn't have your tool batteries charging unattended anyways. And while NiMH batteries are pretty safe, they are still batteries. And when you're charging batteries, it shouldn't be done unattended. So I'll be really interested to try these out. I have to grab my tools and bring them out here. I keep forgetting to do that. I've been at the shop twice in the last week, and that was on my list of stuff to grab, and I didn't. So anyways, I'm sure there's some other stuff I'm not remembering right now that came on the gift list, and there's a couple other things we still need to go pick up. But anyways, USB-C is cool.